Good evening. This is CTV News for Friday, June 13th. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Gina Barty. Thank you for joining us tonight. The doors open once again today for early voting, and residents are flocking to the polls to cast their votes. Or are they? CTV's Stephen Graves visited a voting center in Laurel today to check out if residents are taking advantage of this early voting week.
It's about lunchtime here at the Laurel Beltsville Senior Activity Center, one of the many centers open for people to vote. And as you can see behind me, about 3 stations are empty, but it's not just those 3, it's several. But don't let this site fool you. According to county officials, this has been one of the best turnouts in a while for early voting. But of course they say they want to see more people coming out to vote.
In comparison to the similar gubernatorial election cycle in 2010, which was the first year that we had early voting, approximately 2,400 voters took advantage of the opportunity to vote. Yesterday, the first day of early voting was for 2014, 2,700 people took advantage of the opportunity. So we're very pleased to see the progression, and we hope more voters turn out.
People are people. And some people, well, especially here at the center, the guys and the ladies here are a little elderly. But I have my girlfriend with me that's in gym, so I'm going to bring her around after her session today.
We always want to see people come out to vote, especially early, because that, makes everything less stressful on the actual election day on the 24th.
I would say maybe 50 people have been through just this morning, yes.
What do you think about that number? Do you think it's good, or do you think it would be a little higher?
I would think it would be higher since this is early voting, but today is Friday. People do work, and so we're hoping by this afternoon it would have picked up.
This center, along with one other in the county, actually just opened up this year for residents to have better access to the polls that live in the area. And volunteers say, despite the turnout today, they're very optimistic and excited for more residents to come through in the next week. In Laurel, Stephen Graves, CTV News.
Early voting polling places around the county are open until June 19th.
Should people with criminal histories be allowed to run for public office? The Constitution gives citizens the right to vote, but what about the right to serve? It's a question worth asking as Marylanders prepare to vote in the primary election, especially for voters in Prince George's District 24, where several controversial candidates are vying for a seat in the General Assembly. Among the contenders, former Delegate Tiffany Alston, who was removed from office after she was convicted of stealing legislative funds to pay an employee of her private law firm. And Greg Hall, a reformed ex-convict who was originally picked to fill Alston's seat, but was rejected by the governor after his jail record surfaced. We asked local attorney Arthur Horn for his legal opinion on the issue.
I do think it's a slippery slope, though, because all of a sudden now, if it's criminal, to what extent is it criminal? What happens if the person was charged but not convicted? There's a lot of different criteria that we need to look at. So I think that the whole concept of an election is to have the individual pick and choose and see what individuals they want to have run. So I would tend to lean on not prohibiting anybody from going forward.
As for the District 24 race, Alston's final replacement, Delegate Darren Swain, is also campaigning for the seat. Swain is battling against allegations of drug use and sexually soliciting a minor following an incident that happened last September. Well, county workers are continuing to repair the slope that collapsed in a Fort Washington community. Officials say that there has been little physical movement on the slope on Piscataway Drive. The residents that have moved back into their homes have had their water and power turned back on.
Right now, we have gotten readings as far as the slope movement, and those readings from KCI show that there's minimal movement of the slope. However, we have noticed that there are some small cracks on the roadway and along the shoulder of the roadway. Some of the residents that live on Lower Piscataway Road or Drive have returned to their homes. They do have electricity and water, and the county is staying in touch with them.
The slope failure, which happened back in May, caused dozens of homes to be evacuated.
In other news, a High Point high school teacher has been indicted for allegedly abusing a 17-year-old girl on high school grounds. Andre Brown, who is also a former football coach, faces sex abuse charges. The incident allegedly occurred last fall. Brown was arrested at his home last month. He is on paid administrative leave. A preliminary hearing is set for Monday.
A Southeast Washington man will have a long time to contemplate his crime. A judge sentenced Joshua Benton of Southeast D.C. to double life plus 20 years for his role in the 2012 shooting death of a D.C. man. Investigators say Benton and an accomplice were involved in a drug deal gone bad in Seat Pleasant. They say Benton pulled the trigger, killing Sherrod James. Benton's co-defendant goes on trial in September. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Gina Barty.